biggest decisions. Imagine making a $20,000 mistake when it comes to one of the biggest decisions of your dentistry career. My name is Paul Dr. Nacho Goodman, and I don't have to imagine that. I made that mistake in purchasing our second dental practice. I did not have the tools to be prepared and aware when purchasing our second dental practice. I did not ask the right questions. I definitely did not have the right team on my side. So I want to share with you 2 tips to avoid making a $20,000 mistake when it comes to buying or selling your dental practice. First tip, wrong team. Do not have the wrong team. Even worse sometimes than wrong team is no team. So wrong team or no team is a big problem. Who should be on this team? Advisors that you trust, like a dental-focused accountant, a dental-focused attorney, possibly a consultant, possibly a financial advisor. Get people in your corner who do this every day and can tell you when things are going well and when things are going sideways. On this team, they should alert you that working with a dual representation broker like I did 10 years ago is dangerous. A dual representation broker makes the claim that they can work for both you, the buyer, and the seller at the same time. I believe that this is totally nacho nuts. So ask brokers, are they dual representation? And if they say yes, be very, very, very cautious. Maybe even not work with those type of brokers, because for me, it costs me a lot of money and stress. So the first tip to avoid losing $20,000, do not have the wrong team. The second tip to avoid losing $20,000, don't start too late. This especially goes for sellers, but it can be for both. Desperation causes disasters. Desperation causes disasters. If you do not prepare to sell your dental practice before you need to sell your dental practice, it is likely you will make a mistake that costs you at least $20,000. So get a practice analysis. Invest in a practice analysis to get the stats of your practice now. See where you need to improve. Do you need to improve your profit? Do you need to get more new patients? Do you need to adjust expenses? Are there things you haven't looked at in a long time that you may be overpaying for? So get a practice analysis. Do not start too late, and start to make these changes when they're reasonable. All of us know that feeling of cramming for a test, trying to go on a diet to fit in some sort of outfit that we used to wear years ago. It's uncomfortable, it's unhealthy, it's not good for anyone. So if you are a seller, do not start too late. Get a practice analysis before you need it from a trusted advisor. If you would like help from us connecting with trusted people in this industry, please feel free to text SELL to 215-543-6454. If you're a buyer looking to buy your first practice in the next few years, text BUY to 215-543-6454. You're going to get totally free resources from us to start making these decisions, to start putting yourself on the path to practice ownership, or putting yourself on the path to hanging up the handpiece. That sounds very awesome too. So there's 2 major decisions: buying your dental practice and selling your dental practice. You do not want to make errors that cost you money, that cost you morale, that cost you time, that cause frustrations with your family. I see this as a dental practice broker all the time. So take the time now to act, to get prepared, to make a treatment plan for your transition that makes sense. If you would like to watch any of our content on this, we have hours and hours of content on major career decisions, both CE, interviews, TV shows, talking to industry professionals that can help you, like attorneys, like accountants, like consultants. Just text FLIX to 215-543-6454. What you are going to get back is a free pass to Dental Nacho Flix. My amazing team and I have created this platform. You can go on it and watch CE and get CE credit. You can go on it and watch how to avoid challenges in the next big career decision, hiring an associate. You can learn what's the difference between a DSO and private practice buyer. You can learn patient communication tips and more. So just text FLIX to 215-543-6454 and we'll text you back a free pass to test this out. My goal is for us to share more, care more, create a better dentistry world together. But everybody likes a little extra guac on their nachos, especially when it's free. So maybe you noticed I've been walking this entire time. Huge shout out to Gary Bird. When I was on his podcast, I saw him walking like this. I said, Gary, what are you doing? He goes, I got a walking treadmill so I can put in steps and be active when I'm in front of Zoom. I've been doing this for the past week or so, and it's been awesome. It's a super easy way to stand in front of your computer, go at a slow pace, and do the work while you're doing the work. Stay active, stay healthy. So just like your practice, getting your practice in shape. If you want to know what treadmill that Gary Bird uses and I use, they're not a sponsor, but I hope they are one day. Just text WALK to 215. Imagine making a 20.
Welcome to Dental Nachos TV. This is Paul, Dr. Nacho Goodman. This is going to be, will working for or selling your practice to a DSO be a dream or a disaster? This show is designed to provide value for you to help you be prepared, aware, and protect yourself to make the best treatment planning decision for your practice transition or job that you could make, armed with the best information. We also have an amazing Nacho On Demand CE platform. If you would like to get a discount code to Nacho On Demand CE, just text C to 215-798-9897. You'll find this at dentalnachos.com. We have 200 plus hours of career advice, clinical dentistry, business management, implants, endo, sleep apnea, restorative dentistry, and more. So I'd love you checked out our Nacho On Demand CE platform. Text C to 215-798-9897 to get a discount code texted to you. So I like to teach through the power of stories and also have fun. One of the things out there to be aware of is that associates are looking for guaranteed income, whether you're working for a DSO or a private practice. I am a private practice owner that's hired 10 plus associates, and we pay them some type of guaranteed income the entire time they work with us, whether it's 1 month or 10 years. I want the associates to work with me to feel secure when they walk into work. I want them to be able to pay their rent, pay their food bill, pay their student loans. It is a safety net guarantee. We create in bonus incentives to make more. So I want you to watch this video here because I'm only here because my dream of playing in the NBA failed. So watch this. If I knock down this NBA length three, all practice owners and DSOs are going to agree to pay their associates some type of income guarantee because it is totally nacho nuts to expect your associates to work for free. Let's see how it goes. If you would like some help with surgical extractions, we have a fantastic CE course titled Sweating Less When Extracting Teeth, taught by Dr. Carl Kroner, an awesome resource and sponsor. He's a general dentist that focuses only on extraction. So whether you're a new, medium, or seasoned age dentist that extracts teeth or would like to extract more teeth or cry less or sweat less while extracting teeth, just text SWEAT to 215-798-9897. Text SWEAT to 215-798-9897, and we will text you back how to watch that at no cost to you. Before signing an associate contract, what should dentists do?
Hire a tiny.
Really good advice. For more advice like this, text SURVIVE to 215-543-6454. Dental Nachos is dedicated to helping you survive and thrive in the real world. One of our favorite things to do at Dentist Job Connect is to help you connect with associate dentists, whether you're building your practice one associate at a time, whether you're a solo GP, a group of practices, a large group. We can help you by texting HIRE to 215-798-9897. Just text HIRE to 215-798-9897. If you're looking for a job, text JOB to that same number, 215-798-9897. One of the things I think that's important for us all to understand is, what does dental school debt feel like? It is a factor in making decisions for a dentist at all ages and stages. You may be, I know you can raise your hand. I have people here in Nacho Zoom TV. If you've been a dentist for over 20 years, raise your hand in the chat. I've been a dentist for 20 years, and the cost to go to dental school has gone up dramatically. So I think it's important that no matter what age or stage you're at, we have context on what this dental school debt feels like.
Go.
Okay, this is a dentist who graduated in the 1990s with debt. Oh, it's manageable. A little tough, but manageable. All right, off 1990s debt. Next, 2000s debt.
in the purple. Oh, this is my generation. Not easy, but the cost to go to dental school, probably at the high end, $200,000. Okay, off. 2010 debt, green sweatshirt.
Mine is orange.
Oh man, dental school pricing has gotten doubled, even though new grads are making the same. Dentist income is stagnant. Okay, 2020 debt. Everybody on here.
Oh,
Next.
whatever.
Good. Good. Drew, can you get on?
Drew, get on the back. Get on the back.
Okay. Hold on, Drew.
So that is debt explained through dad push-ups. Look at the graphic on the side, 1960 1980, 80 to 2000, 2000, 2010, 2010 to 2020, and 2020 plus. Dental school debt affects all of us. If you're looking to sell your practice in the next 10 years, and maybe you're looking to sell to a private practice dentist, how does that debt affect their ability to purchase a practice? The good news is dental school debt does not exclude young and new dentists from buying a practice. Let me share that again. Dental school debt does not exclude young and new dentists from buying a practice that are financially fit. If they have a huge monthly expense between their house, between their debt, between their credit card payments, that may exclude them from getting a loan to buy a practice. But debt itself does not exclude young dentists, new dentists from getting a loan to buy a practice. What's really important to me as we go through here things is that we learn, laugh, and feel less annoyed and less alone together. Because we all know what it's like on Monday morning sometimes, and you get a text message that two people have called out and you have to go in and battle that dentisting day. We also have seen dentists argue passionately over things like how people bite their teeth together, that are teeth that are not in your head. So let's collaborate more. I would love to have questions from you during this Zoom chat. If you're watching this on demand, you can reach out to me with any questions. Text that question to 215-798-9897. Because let's remember, dentisting, what we do each day, that can be pretty awesome.
Okay, guys, we're here with Dr. An and Janice, one of our favorite patients who just got her new implant overdenture. And Janice, could you pop that out for us to take a look at? So these are on the upper. Nice nails, Janice. I like them. Good. And can you show us that there? Nice. So it's U-shaped. There's no palate, not like this denture over here. Traditional denture, which we have given Janice as a backup. But the advantages here are that there is no palate, doesn't cover the roof of the mouth, snaps into place, and you can pop it back in for us, Janice. Awesome. And what are you going to have for your first meal with your new implant denture? Nachos?
Pizza.
Pizza? I like that too. All right, thanks, Janice.
So I recommend that if you want to help more patients, my motto is, if it doesn't help, it doesn't matter, and be proud to sell help. If it doesn't help, it doesn't matter, and be proud to sell help. So if you want to help more patients chew and smile with confidence, take more videos. Get your HIPAA and HIPPO consent form. Take more videos and share your story, because it makes you feel good. It helps you share the joy of dentisting with other patients. And it reminds you that you do make people happy, because dentisting is also quite annoying at times, because some people walk in and say, does my insurance cover this? Does my insurance cover this procedure? There's no haircut insurance, but people keep getting their haircut. But at the dental office, insurance, whether you're fee for service, out of network, PPO, is such a huge factor in patients' decisions. So get answers to that questions. Be ready to share, because the Wicked Witch is coming for all of us.
Oh no, it's the Wicked Witch of dental insurance.
I'm going to reduce all of your fees.
But it costs more to run a practice.
I don't care. Ha 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 ha.
So the Wicked Witch is coming for all of us. What can we do to win this game of dentisting basketball is to connect with our patients, whether you're selling your practice now or later, buying a practice now or later, whether you're going to think about selling to a DSO for 500% of collections, or selling to a private practice buyer and riding off or Ubering off into the sunset as you hang up your handpiece. Winning the game of dentisting basketball has to do with working out your core, your mind skills, your hand skills, your word skills, and at the center of it all, your heart skills.
Hey, dentisting friends, it's Paul, Dr. Nacho. I'm sitting with one of my favorite people and patients on earth. We did a full mouth implant case back in 2008 when I was only a 31-year-old dentist. Came in today to get it for us to look at it. It looks awesome. life-changing impact of dental implants. I'm going to ask Rick, what has been the best part of having these teeth?
Oh, I could smile anytime I want, and I can eat anything I want, and they feel like my real teeth.
That's just so cool. And if someone was saying, my patients, they're not going to go for it because it's too expensive, was the financial investment for you worth it?
Oh, without a doubt, 100%. I would do it again if I had to.
So it's one of my favorite videos because I took that video over the pandemic. I did that case over 10 years ago. He came in for implant maintenance. And those are the type of cases that you remember how people care so much, are so glad that you shared what you can do. They're glad they spent the money and time. One of my favorite things to do is reframe how to think about dental insurance in people's lives. Your office manager, your front desk team, your hygiene team, you, the associates. So I made a video when we shifted status with our dental insurance plans, and we are now totally out of network. My team's like, great, Paul, but people are asking us a lot of questions. People are getting annoyed down at the front desk. So I made this video for my front desk team. I'm not going to play the entire video, but if you would like this video, whether you're an associate, a practice owner, a group practice owner, a hygienist, an assistant, someone who wants to reframe dental insurance and explain it to patients in a way they can understand, feel free to text insurance to 215-798-9897, and we'll text you back this video. Hey guys, this is Paul, Dr. Nacho Goodman. I'm here in my office in Pennington, New Jersey. I've been a dentist here since 2004, associate to owner. One of my favorite places to be, also one of the more intense places to be. That's what I call stress intensity. Doing dentistry each day is like doing full contact arts and crafts on people who don't want to be here, or sometimes I describe it as like producing a Broadway play that nobody wants to see. But we get to do cool things like help people chew and smile with confidence, be part of a team, but there's so many moving parts and pieces that go on behind the scenes in your dental circus. I mean practice, I mean circus. And one of the things my team asked me to do was to make a video on what to say, some talking points on what to say when we are shifting status, as we are right now, with one of our in-network insurance plans. So we're not dropping it. No one's dropping anything on the floor like those little class 2 rings that ping around. And you're like, geez, I did not want to drop that. I need another one. You look to your dental assistant and say, what else do we have in the box? It's a mangled pedo ring. And you say, perfect. That will have to do. And you have to keep your crying on the inside. But that's clinical dentistry. Let's stick with the insurance part. So patient calls up, says, do you take my insurance? Do you participate with my insurance? Do you accept my insurance? So I want to bring this up here. What do we say when that happens? So someone calls you up. It's not easy to be on the phone. There's phone calls. There's patients. Someone says, do you accept my insurance? Spoiled guac PPO. And here's how we start. That's a great question. A lot of patients ask us that. When you say that's a great question, I would want to know that too. That's a great question. A lot of patients ask us that. It just pauses your mind for a minute and lets you think. Lets the patient know that what they're asking is totally normal. But now you're going to start digging deeper. So what's the next thing you're going to say after patient says, do you accept my insurance? Spoiled guac PPO. What you're going to say is, let's take a look here. Next thing I want to say is, here it is. Dental insurance works a lot like a coupon that has blackout dates, a benefit that has blackout dates. Whatever insurance plan that you utilize, we're going to do the best job possible to maximize the benefits of your coupon. Now notice, so there's more to this, but to maximize the benefit of your coupon is such a key phrase in helping reframe dental insurance. So I hope you guys got some value out of that intro to this topic here. Working for a DSO or selling to a DSO, the pros and cons and what to watch out for. This is a success story in our practice. One of our awesome associates moved to San Francisco to follow his doctor wife to a residency program or a specialty program, fellowship program. And I was able to use my own invention, Dentist Job Connect, to find the awesome doctor here who works with us. If you would like help from us, just text HIRE to 215-798-9897. So will working as an associate for a DSO be a dream or a disaster? What are the pros? What are the cons? What are questions to ask? What are mismanaged expectations in this process? Will selling your practice to a DSO be a dream or disaster? What are the pros and cons? Who can buy your dental practice? What are valuations like? What about the patients and team, and how to build the right team to help you? So I want to start for just a few minutes talking about, will working for an associate for DSO be a dream or disaster? What are some of the pros of working for the DSO? Now, we're all dentists here. We might know dentists, work with dentists. There's no such thing as 100% of the time for anything. Even my favorite thing, implants, do not work out 100% of the time. Most of the time, They do work out. So let's talk about most of the time here, because I know someone would say, but I know XYZ DSO who doesn't give benefits. But let's talk about most of the time here. So the pros for working for a DSO as an associate most of the time here is they have enough patience for you to see to fill your schedule, enough patience for you to see to fill your schedule, because they look at the business aspect of what they do closely. They often have a true need most of the time because they analyze why they need an associate carefully. There are most of the time some type of benefits, which may include some or all of 401k, paid time off, medical insurance, and CE. Those can be some of the pros for working as an associate in a DSO. You're often asked to do more high-level care for a DSO than you are for a private practice associateship. That may be between a pro and a con. Between a pro and a con, it may help you get out of your comfort zone and learn new procedures, but it also can make you uncomfortable if it's not a procedure that you have clinical competence with. What are the cons of working for a DSO as an associate? You have someone controlling what you do each day that you may not see each day. In a private practice, it doesn't happen all of the time, but most of the time, you will see the practice owner with regularity. In a DSO, you may never see the person who truly owns that practice. What are some of the other cons of a DSO? They may have unrealistic expectations as to what your clinical competency is, what you can do. They can be procedure driven in what they want to get done for the patients in that office. And if you're able to do molar endo well, great. But if you're not able to do molar endo well, that can be a true challenge. What questions to ask for any associateship, especially DSOs, are: why do they need an associate? How will I be compensated? What procedures will I be asked to do most of the time? Where is the practice located? That's important because sometimes you say, oh, we have a great opening at a practice, but make sure you're going to the practice that they are talking about, not hiring you and then sending you to a practice an hour away. That has happened to someone that I know very well. So that can be a real challenge that often doesn't happen in the private practice world. Make sure you have a dental-focused attorney review your contract. I have seen Nacho Nuts termination notices like 90 days for DSOs, which I believe is way too long. So make sure the expectations are managed. If you're going to be leaving that job for whatever reason, make sure you can do it in a way that is positive and not painful for you. Get a dental-focused attorney to review your contract. If you would like the connection to an awesome dental-focused attorney, just text attorney to 215-798-9897. Let's talk about, will selling your practice to a DSO be a dream or disaster? What are the pros of selling your practice to a DSO? Most of the time, you will get more money. You will get more money. The valuations that DSOs do on practices tend to be more favorable than private practice buyers. Private practice buyers are limited by the bank. When you sell your practice to a private practice buyer, as I have helped many dentists do, if you have $1 million practice and you want $1.3 million for that practice, do not sell it to a private practice buyer because the bank will not give them 130% of collections. How much will the bank give for a good practice? And you can think about 100% of collections, but that doesn't mean the private practice buyer can give you all of that. If I was going to get $1 million for a private practice loan, I might be able to pay $900,000 to the practice owner, but keep $100,000 as working capital. The pros of selling to a DSO is they are not limited by bank financing. They have investors. They have a giant pile of Scrooge McDuck money. Just kidding. It seems that way at sometimes. So they are often able to pay much more than a private practice buyer. Now, if someone's listening and says, but what about the time you stay there and work for them? Yes. Let's go right to cons. You get more money from the DSO with the requirement to stay and work. With the requirement to stay and work most of the time for 3+ years. So when you're working as an associate in your own practice, the profit the DSO makes from you is what helps them purchase that practice. So that can be a con if you are not someone who wants to make total more money, total dollars more. So let's just go over an example. There's $1 million practice, Dr. Nacho's House of Dentistry, gets sold to a private practice buyer for $900,000. Dr. Nacho stays for 6 months for a transition, and then retires from dentistry and goes away with $900,000 with maybe another $40,000 as an associate for that year. So Dr. Nacho, the private practice, has $940,000. Same Dr. Nacho sells to a DSO. Let's say that the DSO is going to pay $1 million for that practice. Now, one of the cons, which is why you build the right team, you may not get the total practice valuation on the day of close. So if I was to sell for $1 million, they may hold back $200,000 to make sure that I hit the numbers that I did before selling the practice. So they give me $800,000. I work for 3 years. Let's say I produce $600,000 a year as an associate. So now I'm making $200,000 a year for those 3 years. That's $600,000. I do hit my numbers. And at the end of this, I now have 1 million plus 600,000. So I have 1.6 million. I did work for an additional 3 years in that case. That is what I would call like the standard DSO. Well, I want to call it a standard because it's changing. That is a classic way of a DSO paying a dentist to buy their practice. There are so many new ways where the DSO purchases a portion of your practice. You invest the rest in the parent company. They have these fancy things like recaps where they get purchased or they get more money, and now the value goes up. So they will often tell you a positive story about your ability to make more and more and more the longer you stay by investing in that company. People told me there's no such thing as free lunch. I don't believe that, because sometimes I just buy my team free lunch at Dental Nachos in my dental office. It's just free lunch. Just bought them free lunch. But in the world of DSOs, when they say there's no such thing as free lunch, you staying and keeping a portion of your practice invested into that DSO can come with reward and risk. I'm going to keep going down to the last point. Get a great dental focused attorney. Get a great dental focused accountant. Get someone who's dealt with this world. Don't get your brother, sister's, uncle's attorney who does, I don't know, real estate to look at your deal, because that's like having a general dentist try to do a second molar root canal through a crown with calcified canals. We may know kind of what to do, but we don't do that all the time. Get the endodontist of attorneys and accountants and coaches helping you. Who can buy your dental practice? So if you do have let's just review this for a minute because it's important. We got 1, private practice buyer gets traditional bank financing. We got 2, a group of private practice buyers like my brother and I, we would still need traditional bank financing. 3, a small DSO, 4, a large DSO. When we go through these who can buy your dental practice, you will be required to stay the least amount of time for the solo GP. Let's call it 6 months, a year for the group practice, 3 years for the small DSO, and sometimes 3+ years for the large DSO most of the time. Deals vary, of course. Get your team to look at them. But if you're listening to this and you want to be retired and finished with dentistry in the next 12 months, a DSO is not the deal for you. What about your patients and team? Interview multiple DSOs. I believe if you're looking to sell to a DSO, not only get the right team, but interview multiple DSOs. Ask to speak to practice owners who have sold to them. You have created this fantastic practice. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into this practice for decades sometimes. So make sure that your patients and team have a path to success. Patients and team have a path to success. You are not required to know the crown prep taper of whoever you sell your practice to, but you will be writing a letter for a private practice buyer sale, or you will be saying to your patients that this is a transition that I am behind. These are people that you've seen for years. So strive your best to be as authentic in saying that as possible. The way that works for me would be to interview as many potential buyers as possible and pick the right one. I would love if we're here. I see more people have joined us. Please ask questions in the chat or the Q&A. I deal with this world all the time. I'm happy to be part of it. It can be exciting. It can be scary. It can be quite wild for when people get deals to say, we're going to buy your $1.5 million practice for $3.5 million. You say, you will? Am I really going to get $3.5 million? And my answer to that is you could. But when you look at it with your dental focus accountant or your dental focus attorney, what has to happen for you to get that? It's so important to talk to your family and the people who you care about as to what the next step looks like. Are you the type of person that can have a boss? When you have a DSO, you have a boss. Simple as that. You work for someone else. When you sell your practice to a DSO, for a longer period of time than you would to a private practice buyer. Now, if you sell to a private practice buyer and you want to stay on for 3 or 4 years, you are also going to have a boss, but it's a different type of boss. It's somebody who is a fellow dentist like you. It's somebody that you see and can kind of talk to in a customized way. Make sure that your personality fit is the one that is going to be the right one for you when doing these deals. It's not up to me to tell you that selling to a DSOs is great or terrible or evil like Skeletor from He-Man when I was a kid. It's just a thing. Whether you think it's a good thing, whether you think it's a bad thing, it's a thing that's getting bigger. More and more DSOs are looking to buy the most productive and profitable practices. This is the list of who can buy your practices. So many times these small DSOs sell to a large DSO. Ask them what that looks like to them. Sometimes when you're selling, got a great question, good. When you're selling to a small DSO, they're often thinking of getting bought by a larger DSO. Sometimes if you're one of the first acquisitions for a small DSO, they can give you very favorable terms and also make you a clinical advisor and things like that if you like to do that. Of course, go in those eyes wide open. I learned about MB2 recently. Sounds pretty amazing. What's my thought on it? So I'll be glad to share. So I helped one of my selling dentists sell to MB2. This was an awesome practice that did $1.5 million a year. The location of this practice, we showed it to a number of private practice buyers. Not many of them wanted to move their whole family to this location. It was a nice location for the seller, but not one where people often move to. So it's been purchased by MB2. And so far, from all my feedback, I don't have a tremendous amount of feedback from the seller, that this seller has had a good experience selling to MB2, still in the early stages. I know other Facebook group founders that are part of MB2. MB2 is one of the most popular ones in my experience to keep owning part of your practice. You do keep owning part of your practice. Continuing to own part of your practice comes with pros and cons. Owning part of your practice, maybe you're going to get more money. Maybe you keep some autonomy. Maybe they have to be extra nice to you because you own 40% of the practice. What are the cons? You have to sell that 40% of their practice. Who is going to buy that 40% of your practice? But what I'll share as a broker and someone who's worked with MB2 and knows people who have sold to them and been part of their team, it appears to be a popular type of DSO, or what some people call now DPO, dental provider organization. There's many different terms. I don't want to get into too deep into those two different terms. I would ask advisors, what is the difference between a DPO and a DSO? DPO sounds a little kinder and friendlier. It sounds a little more dentisty because dentists are more involved. And it could be that way. There are great DSOs. There are good DSOs. There are challenging DSOs. There are not so good DSOs, just like private practices. We do have to take a look and say, when you sell your practice to a DSO, it likely will never be a private practice again. So if you're somebody who cares about private practice and that being sustained, that may prevent it from happening. It may be on the road to extinctification. Not saying don't do that. Not saying I wouldn't consider selling to a DSO. I own two private practices, but it's something I would be thinking about if I sold to Guac DSO. I'd say, this is great. I'm selling to Guac DSO. My practice will never be private again. 98% of the time, the only way it becomes private again is if the DSO fails. So, which is a big problem. So that's something to think about as well. Really good question. Love questions like that. I would love to get some more questions. Since we're here together talking, what I'd like to share with you is, if you would like to schedule a free strategy call with our Nacho Transitions team, we will talk to you at no cost to talk about a plan that works for you. It is never too early to start thinking about this process. The day you buy a dental practice is the day you should think about selling it. The day you buy a dental practice is the day you should be planning to sell it. This is not about DSOs. This is not about making the most money. This is about protecting you and your family. If you do not create a strategy for selling a very complex asset, if something happens to you, which I've dealt with multiple times, injury, disability, death, it can cause an enormous problem for your family, a financial problem, an emotional problem. So connect with people who can help you create a plan. You can text sell to 215-798-9897 or email us at transitions@dentalnachos.com. Got another question. This is great. Really having an awesome time here. Looking to sell to a DSO versus private practitioner, I realize the DSO wants you there for 3+ years to obtain full value. Any instances that where the provider sold to a DSO and left prior to the 3 years? The answer to that is yes. Not any of the ones I've directly been involved in. leave of their own accord, but I have heard of this from my dental focused attorney friend, Rob Montgomery. Our podcast, dentalamigos.com, is totally free to listen to, and it reviews every step of this. So if you would like to just be at the gym or be in your car, I highly recommend you go to dentalamigos.com and just start listening to our episodes. Start with the most recent season and go back. We dig into this topic. If a practice owner leaves prior to the 3 years, they're likely not going to get the full money. And it likely won't be a comfortable thing to have happen, leaving under 3 years. It's likely not going to be great for your patients, for your team. I'm not saying don't make the best decision yourself, but my thought process is don't go into this thinking you want to not fulfill the contract. So if they have a contract for 4 years, think you want to fulfill the contract for 4 years. Of course, if they ask you to do something unethical, illegal, immoral, or unsafe, get your attorney to be on your side. The goal would be to not have this happen by doing your due diligence prior to that. So I have heard of that happening, and they haven't been happy situations. They've been situations where the practice owner was mad, the DSO was unhappy with them. And my sense is they likely did not get the money that they were promised. Great question, though. I'd love more questions like that. So thrilled to have you guys asking these questions. Good. I wanted to also share, because if we have practice owners on here who are thinking about hiring an associate, or an associate looking for a job, I do want to share with you, this is very important. Some DSOs only buy practices if you have an associate. Some DSOs will only buy a practice if you have an associate. Some DSOs realize that if they buy a practice from a solo practitioner and something happens to that solo practitioner, it is going to be football Sunday here in a few minutes. I'm going to watch the Eagles. If something happens to the quarterback and there is no backup quarterback, they have a big problem. So a trend is that DSOs are requiring you to have an associate. So I'm not saying go out and hire an associate tomorrow just to sell to a DSO, but if you have one, strengthen that relationship. One thing I'll share with you is if you have an associate, anyone want to raise their hand in the chat if you have an associate? I'd be glad to know. I might don't know who. So if people here in the chat, if you have an associate like me, make sure you have a good contract in place with that associate. If you do not have contracts in place with that associate, it can be an enormous challenge when you sell to a DSO, because nothing will prevent the associate from just getting up and leaving. Is there a restrictive covenant with your associate? I'm a big fan of making them favorable. Our restrictive covenants for our associates are not super big, but we have them. They can't open up next door. Maybe they come up 2 miles away, 3 miles away, but they can't open up next door. So one piece of advice is, if you're going to sell your practice at any time, and have an associate, get a contract in place that's a win-win for both of you. Not a contract that's a win for you as the owner and not a win for the associate, but something that bonds the associate to your practice. Because if you do not have that in place, it can be a major challenge for selling your practice to a DSO. So what are some things, if you guys would like an awesome series, it's a totally free video series of CE for associates and owners on what to ask on job interviews. Just text BURN to 215-798-9897. Questions to ask, how to plan, explore the clinical experience of your associate, determine a compensation structure that I believe should have a guaranteed income of some type. Ask your associate, have they ever worked with a dental team in the past? If it's their first job, your associate may be incredibly motivated, incredibly nice, and do awesome for you. They've never worked in a dental circus. It's nuts. You guys know, I know it's nuts. Working in a dental circus is nuts. They're going to need more mentorship to learn how to deal with assistants, hygienists, front desk team members, and them. So just make sure, if this is the first time your associate's had a job in private practice, it's going to require extra mentorship, and focus on those 3 M's: mentorship, morale, and money. Not just money, not just mentorship, not just morale, all 3 of them. If you do not have an associate yet and you're looking to hire one, make sure you create enough space in your schedule, not necessarily always your dental practice schedule, your life schedule, to answer questions, to be available. I believe you should do Zooms with your associates to talk about cases. These are people that are treating the most important people in your practice, your patients. So make sure that you're not creating a treatment plan that's destined to fail with your associate. If there's any questions about hiring an associate, please let me know. This is one of my funny things on insurance. You know, it is nacho nuts. Dental insurances are paying dentists less, even though it costs more to run a practice. That is crazy. So I said, Dennis, why are you paying us less? Insurance executive, because we can. If you'd like to get a letter and videos on how to explain insurance changes to your patients, just text 215-543-6454. So what I'd like to wrap up with, as you guys ask questions, this is not the end, is I've made this video, what I call the 4 biggest decisions in the circle of dentisting life, the 4 steps: finding a job, buying a practice, hiring an associate, and selling your practice. That's the circle of dentisting life. How to make good decisions for you, for your family, for your finances, for your morale, for your patients, for your team. It is difficult. If you would like us to help, just text STEP to 215-798-9897. We'll be glad to schedule a complimentary call to help you with whatever step your folks next. You're finding your first job, we'll help. Buying your first practice, we'll help. Hiring your first associate, we'll help. Selling your only practice, we'll help. If we can't help, we'll get you the people who can help. We are people who can put you on the right path to success, to minimize stress, minimize disaster, to make it truly the best dream you can create, the best treatment plan you can create. While this video is playing, I would love for you to ask questions in the Q&A. I'll be glad to stop the video at any time and answer questions. Imagine making a $30,000 mistake when buying a dental practice. Imagine not knowing what questions to ask or how to build a team when making the most important decision of your dental life. My name is Dr. Paul Goodman, Dr. Nacho, and I don't have to imagine that because I made those mistakes in 2011. I didn't know what questions to ask when buying a dental practice. I didn't know working with a dual representation broker is nacho nuts. A dual representation broker claims to be able to represent your interest and the interest of the selling dentist at the same time. So if you only listen to this much, just know that working with a dual representation broker can burn your nachos in making the most important decision of your dental life. My goal as Dr. Paul Goodman, Dr. Nacho, is to help you with the 4 most important decisions you will make in your entire dentisting career, or what I call the circle of dentisting life. Finding your first job, buying your first practice, hiring your first associate, and selling your only practice. Dental school teaches us a lot about the Krebs cycle and how to make a mediocre bite rim, but not enough about our dentisting core. What is our dentisting core? The decisions we make with our mind, the words we say, which are ultra important, our clinical skills, and at the center of it all, our heart, who we look to help, and the impact we look to make. Making mistakes in the 4 biggest decisions of your dentisting career can cause so many problems. And I want to give you actionable takeaways in each one of those steps. So let's talk about finding your first job. What is some common mistake dentists make is starting too late. Finding your first job should start day 1 of D1, not applying for that job, finding it. ABC, always be connecting. Meeting people in industry who can help. Who are these people if you're a dental student? Who should you reach out to? Go to in-person CE events. Sit next to dentists that look older than you and meet them. They may not be looking for an associate, but they may have a friend who's also looking. When you go to sign an associate contract, do not sign one without having a dental-focused attorney review it. As Dr. Nacho, founder of a 30,000 member plus Facebook group, I get poignant messages daily from dental associates who did not have anyone review their contract and now they have a problem. Problem getting paid, problem with their restrictive covenant. So get a dental-focused attorney to review your contract. Nothing bad happens. Either the dental-focused attorney says, hey, this contract looks pretty good, let's ask for a few things here, but if we don't get these things, it's still a good contract. Or they say, there's 14 red flags and I haven't gotten to page 2 of that contract. So that's finding your first job. Buying your first practice. The mistake I made was with us buying a second practice, but we overpaid by at least $30,000, and here's why. Cash flow is so important. So this $300,000 practice was only profiting $100,000. So another actionable takeaway. A good way to value a practice is 2 times the net profit, 1.5 to 2 times the net profit, not just 70% of collections. So this broker valued it at $215,000 and we just paid it. There were no Facebook groups, there were no podcasts, we didn't have information on this. We just paid the asking price. And I know that we could have paid at least $30,000 less because it was a practice that was in distress. So if you're buying a practice that's in distress, the owner is sick, they have to sell quickly. That is an unfortunate life circumstance for the selling dentist. But you as the buyer, that practice doesn't have the same value as one where the owner might be able to stay on afterwards. So buying your first dental practice is so important. As someone who helps dentists sell their dental practices, I meet dentists at the end of their career, and they have often had multiple houses, sometimes multiple spouses, but just one dental practice. So what does that mean? That one dental practice will stick with you through your career. The third thing, hiring your first associate. When to know, do you need an associate? Let me tell you the story of my best friend, Todd. Todd didn't know if he needed an associate, but he knew he was very stressed. He was super successful, amazing fee-for-service practice in Center City, Philadelphia, a fantastic dentist and an even better person. But he didn't know how to find an associate and how to incorporate that associate into his practice. I just met with him recently. He hired this associate 2 years ago, said it was the best decision of his dental career. So what are the 5 questions you need to ask and be able to answer when hiring an associate? Why am I looking for an associate? Where is the position? How will the associate be compensated? Dental school debt's a lot different from even when I went. So these young dentists have to be compensated enough to pay their debt, pay their rent, pay their food, things like that. Learn things. So how, what, where, when, why? Those are the 5 questions. Where is the job? Why do you need an associate? How will they be compensated? What procedures will the associate do most of the time? And also, what fun things are there to do in the area? Because there's more to life than just dentisting. And as we wrap up, selling your only practice. It's such a key point in the career of a dentist. Sell your practice and hang up the handpiece. There should be some ceremony where you hang up the handpiece and ride off into the sunset. But you can't do that unless you sell this practice, which is a very complex transaction. Not only do you need a person, you need a person who is a dentist, licensed in that state, wanting to live in that area and be able to get financing for your practice. So one of my best pieces of advice, start early. Connect with brokers, ask good questions, connect with accountants, build your team. I'm a huge fan of basketball. My dream was to play in the NBA. That dream didn't come true. But who would be on this starting 5? A dental-focused attorney, a dental-focused accountant, a financial coach, a confidant, a personal confidant that you can ask questions to, a bank along the way too. So these are people that you want to put on your practice transition team and meet them early. Developing relationships is key. So it all goes back to developing this dental focused core, this dental core of your mind, your words, your hand skills. At Dental Nachos, what we do is we want to help you make good dental life decisions. Help learn from mistakes that other dentists have made, like me, when I didn't have information on how to value a practice, how to work with brokers, and how to navigate this sometimes nacho nuts dentisting business world. I love helping dentists. Our goal is to connect us more together with these ABCs. Always be connecting, always be caring. No one really likes going to the dentist, so we may as well like each other. I think this is a special time for us all to bond together. And I want to be part of the solution in making that happen. So as you guys can see, the process of getting through our dental journey is not an easy one. It can be a fun one. It can be an awesome one. It can be aggravating. It can be annoying. And my goal is to help you guys along the way. I just want to finish up with how you can reach out to us to help you hire an associate. Just text hire to 215-798-9897. If you're looking for a job, text job to 215-798-9897. And if you've gotten any value out of Dental Nachos at any time along this journey, if you've had fun, if you've met new friends, if you've learned, I would love for you to check out our Nacho On Demand Seed platform. You can text C to 215-798-9897 to get a discount code. It is an anytime, anywhere learning resource for dentists at every age and stage of your career. There are 5-minute videos on how to talk to patients when they get upset. There's talks on how to present financial plans to patients, how to learn about sleep apnea, implants, endo, and more, how to plan small, medium, and large cases, how to buy a practice, how to sell a practice, hire an associate. I'm so proud of what I built with Nacho On Demand C, and I would love if you checked it out. Just text C to 215-798-9897, and we'll text you back a discount code. We can help you with the process of buying or selling a dental practice. You can text DSO to 215-798-9897, and we'll tell you more about how to sell a practice to any type of buyer, how to buy a practice from any type of buyer, and also connect you with resources for startups. The more we share, the more we care, the better dentisting world we'll build together. And my goal is to help all of us learn, laugh, be less annoyed, and feel less alone together. Thank you for spending time with me.